Hey there. Did you know that your wife has a body part that is solely for the purpose of physical pleasure? And did you also know that it's bigger than you think and women are the only ones who have it? I'm Leslie Dories, your marriage coach, creator of the Hero Husband Project, and owner of Foundations Coaching NC. And so, one of the things that gets in the way of intimacy, and I've talked about this before, is what is known as the pleasure gap. And this is the gap between who has orgasms when they're being physically intimate. And the research shows that men, anywhere from 80 to 90% of the time they're sexually active, they have an orgasm. For women, it ranges anywhere from 30% of the time up to maybe the high 50s. And this is because of what is being focused on during your intimate encounters. And this body part that I'm talking about is her clitoris. It's not just the little part that you actually see or can feel from the outside. It's actually a much bigger um, organ. It is about the size of a small eggplant and it is filled, absolutely filled with receptors, right? This is filled with nerve endings. This is the key to most women's physical pleasure. And how it's approached and how it's used, as like I said, it's much bigger than you think. Only a small part of it is outside and I don't want to and accessible. I mean, all of it's accessible. You just have to know how to do it. And this is one of the things is that what happens is that there's so much focus on what's on intercourse, and some women actually can have an orgasm that way. The clitoris gets stimulated enough, but for many women, that's not the case. And so when this part of her body gets ignored or isn't stimulated in a good way or in a in a way that actually turns her on, then this is one of the things that gets in the way. And the less pleasure she's actually having, the less likely she is to want to have it. Um, and it can be very challenging because a lot of women don't even know how their bodies are put together, how their bodies work, because nobody tells us, right? And there's multiple ways of stimulating this part of her body. And I'm going to tell you, you don't want to just dive in the beginning. You want to take it slow and easy and build that that momentum, that energy, that desire that she's going to have. And so if you know where it is, and I highly recommend that you get some training on this, that you actually do a little bit of learning. This is a Facebook post, so I can't really go into all that kind of detail. But if you learn, if both of you learn how and where and when to stimulate her on this, I mean, this part is, and only women have it. Men do not have it, right? And like I said, it is the sole purpose of this body part is physical pleasure, but it's the part that may not get the kind of attention that would be helpful for you guys to have a complete and mutually pleasurable experience. And so it's going to take a little bit of research. It can take a little bit of trial and error, take a little bit of practice, which can be fun. Um, but you want to explore. She wants to explore. You want to explore this part of her body because once you get that kicked into gear, I guarantee your intimate life is going to improve. So if you want to learn more about this, please go ahead and just send me a message, ask me a question. You can do it by direct message. You can send me an email at Leslie at foundationscoachingnc.com. Um, this is something that we don't want to ignore, but unfortunately, a lot of times it gets overlooked because there's a lack of understanding of how important this body part is and what role it plays. And so I want you to be able to do that. So I invite you that if you want to learn more to get in touch with me. I also invite you to subscribe to the channel to keep learning more about this. And until next week, stay loving.